Board. Perfect. Someone has put a chat. Where did my chat go? I don't know where my chat went. Hold on, sorry. Show chat. A few people coming in still. All right. There's my chat. Got it. Someone from Thunder sends her regrets. Not a problem. I understand. Okay. This is fantastic. I'm going to do my best to monitor the invites of individuals coming in. In the meantime, my name is Tracy Pepe. I really hope that you have an opportunity to make a fabulous pot of tea. If you can't, inside your scent kit, you would have received a little tea bag. This is green tea with blueberry. This blueberry note is infused from Newfoundland, and one of my favorite suppliers. And actually, there's a great story about where my St. Bernard comes from. He's from PI, and it was in the middle of COVID. But anyway, I went to the supplier where they produce this tea, and it's called Dark Tickle, the company. Fantastic. But we use tea when sometimes we're doing engagements or we're working with individuals within the homes, because tea is a really simple thing to start the process of smelling a cup of tea. So we are going to officially begin. Let me share my screen. And we are going to, sorry. Beautiful. All right. Thank you for joining us. You have joined a seminar called Scent Therapy. This is a program that is proprietary to my company called Smelling Pink. I am a nonprofit organization. I began this official program approximately 3 years coming out of COVID and understanding that our world is up against an isolation epidemic. And I say that not lightly. So I want to share how we got here and what we're doing. So as I said, I'm hoping you have a cup of tea. Some of you would have gotten scent kits. And as a nonprofit, we try to keep the costs down so that I can do this at no cost to the organizations and individuals. But we have to mail these kits because the price and the time frame. So I'm hoping if you had registered prior, you would have received one of these kits. If you did not receive one of these kits, the alternative to is something smelly, but also something that we can taste, because this is part of the process. I like to put you in the driver's seat, but I also like you to become the person to experience this. So you actually understand what some of your people and individuals are dealing with within long-term care homes, and the connection on how do we get here to the isolation epidemic that we're facing. So why smell? I am a trained perfumer of 35 years. I have worked with some of the largest international brands in the world. My goal was to scent spaces. I was not a traditional type of perfumer, even though I began in eau de toilettes and colognes. I worked for a company here in Canada. I created all the Alfred Sun creations and some Nanette Lepore and various different fine fragrances many, many, many years ago. However, I transitioned and I opened up a company called Nose Design, in which our organization was responsible for the cognitive conditioning that companies use to manipulate consumers to buy more, to stay longer, to participate. I did a lot of this work. I was participating with some of the biggest brands. I worked with architects and interior designers. We pumped smell into scents into corporations. all around the country and the world. And a lot of people are really kind of not aware that if it is done properly, it is an exceptional tool, obviously for marketing purposes, but also it is an exceptional tool for stimulation of the office. Now, McDonald's was one of my first largest companies that I did work for. And funny enough, not in the restaurants. The restaurants actually are the only restaurant that I would say that actually has 0 cent or minimalist cent. And the reason for that is they actually have sent people who verify they don't want to smell any fast food or negative French fry food when we're in an obesity crisis. And so McDonald's is very brand savvy, and lots of great stories about McDonald's. However, I scented Winford, which is in Toronto, largest head office, and the objective was to stimulate work environments. Because my work is actually known for cognition and how I deal with the mind.
Yes.
So 3 years ago, or actually prior to 3 years ago, we were in an airport, Pearson International, as well as we had a storefront location. We were in many hotels, and I was asked to go and do a TED Talk. And that was one of my highlights of my career. And I was asked to go to Dubai because the previous year I was in Dubai, I was working with some of the large hotel owners over there about scent and how it impacts consumers, the perceptions. On the right, with the lady in the pink hair, is my older sister. Her name is Linda. Linda is one of my heroes from the perspective of she's the most resilient woman I've yet to know. She has bipolar and schizophrenia. She's right now in a Hawthorne, actually, one of my clients. I'm very thankful and blessed that she's at Hawthorne. She had a terrible accident recently, and she is in some transitioning care. So I am playing a double role right now, but at the time, I was also playing a double role because that is the picture of my son. His name is Adrian. Adrian is on the spectrum. And so as I am living this world and teaching corporations how to manipulate consumers to buy more and spend more time at casinos and all these wonderful things, I'm living a double life where I'm dealing with mental health issues on my family and coping mechanisms. And my TED Talk, which is really about how I discovered my superpower. And one of the things that makes me a little different in the fragrance industry is I lean more towards natural raw materials. I do use synthetics because there are many reasons why we can't use naturals for everything. However, I discovered my superpowers 25 years ago trying to get my son, who's a genius with ADD, ADHD, and Tourette's, to hand in a math paper or homework assignment. Talk about climbing Mount Everest. So you learn, you really do. So how did we get here? Well, there was a disruption in my industry, and it occurred because of a global pandemic where the medical industry across the entire world missed the early stages of the pandemic of COVID-19, which was insomnia, loss of smell. And this was part of my talk, that our sense of smell is actually a pre-diagnostic to many diseases and to many issues, but we overlook it. The medical industry in particular has overlooked it. So this was one of the learning curves the medical industry actually started to pay attention to, because it was early diagnostic. A lot of it was some people had loss of smell and they had A-type symptoms and loss of taste. 70% of the world did lose their sense of smell and taste, and this helped to adopt the world to understand my perspective, why smell is so important. As a perfumer, I focus on my sense of smell. I use my sense of smell as you would use your eyesight. I am more intuitive to smell and taste and music. and we'll get into the vibration components of that. But there's a real understanding now, as well as we threw a mask on people's faces around the world and we began to smell our breath all day, every day, which can become sometimes frustrating, and it can create anxiety and issues. And thirdly, in 2023, Canada, for the first time in history, there become more seniors than children. We have actually hit the pivoting point. And so I am sounding the alarm for governments around the world, but in our country, to start to really pay attention, because if we don't really get a grasp of what is about to happen in the next 10 years, the issues that we are facing are going to get astronomically huge. So we are in a disruption. And so at this point, I'm sure all of you are aware, because you are with it on a daily basis, of the effects of isolation and some of the impacts that it has on people. So why vibration? Fantastic researcher, perfumer in the industry called Dr. Luca Turin, who studied bees and how bees vibrate towards certain smells based on the vibration of the smells that are coming off. And he studied the bees and vibration, similar to music, on how we actually smell something not based on a molecular structure, meaning something that you would hit the brain or enter the body. It's based on the vibration of the scent that hits the brain, and the brain processes this. And what is really fascinating, and this is where I am kind of scientifically geeky in a lot of ways, this all happens in less than 1/100th of a second in the nose. And so this is how we have come to understand the limbic system. The limbic system is here down at the base of the brain, which is part of the old brain. And for those of you on the call who are not familiar with this, the limbic system is really emotional communication. It is how we process emotions. It is how we communicate in a non-necessarily verbal way. And smell impacts the limbic system immediately. And so this is why you can have a recall of a scent memory that you may have experienced 20, 25 years ago. This is also the reasons why Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and dementia patients who have thought to have lost their sense of smell, scientists and research are starting to understand they haven't. It's just been ignored and not stimulated. And so this is what we're here to talk about today. This is the really exciting stuff. Scent is the strongest link to memory and emotion, far greater than any of the other ones. And so it is often overlooked in many, many institutions, homes, work environments. This is not just a targeted area per se. 75% of our emotions are generated every day to what we smell. We smell over 100,000 different smells on a daily basis. I just watched a fantastic movie on TV, Netflix, on dogs and the power of the dog. And they talk about the dogs and the dog sense of smell, and how dogs perceive smell, and how they are the masters of communication, which is kind of fascinating. Now, I have a Saint Bernard. Adore him. One of my clients who's on here, I know she has corgis. Like, there's a fascination to me with their world and their perception of what they smell. And I just witnessed recently with Gordon, when we were walking, he could smell coyotes, and they were miles or kilometers away. He knew they were around, and his shoulders were up and his back, we were in a field. And so I just follow his lead and I left. Because that's why we have a dog, that, you know, alarm bells. Anyway, there's someone on the chat. I can't see the chat, and I will get to it after, just because I'm on full screen, so I'll get to it. We recall about 65% of our scent accuracy in 1 year later from the time that we smelt it. That's really interesting. There's a whole bunch of research and data we're going to get into. And this is where I'm hoping to really kind of make you aware of something that is so spectacular about sense of smell. So, oops, sorry, how did that happen? It is truly emotional communication because smell is adapted through the nose receptors, the olfactive bulb, interprets the sense, it turns into the various different parts of the brain, and it hits memory, emotion, and memory, and it gets locked. Now, if we can unlock scent memories from the past, that's a bonus. That's not our target. That's not what we're focusing on. We are really trying to stimulate the brain, either from a stimulation or calm the brain, and I'll explain how we go about to do that. So this was really interesting, fantastic study. And by the way, on LinkedIn, I have a page called the Olfactive Group, where I started this over 15 years ago because we collect data, research, and my industry has been on top of this forever. And we love to know what happens to the people's brain. Perfumers know a lot of things. We know how certain raw materials stimulate us to make us buy stuff and areas, and we focus on this. There was a recent study done in a neuroscience magazine in 2023 that focused on using one scent at night for 6 months with a database of seniors, ages between 60 to 85%. And they had an increase of 235% memory retention. Now, to me, when you see numbers like this, my mind goes, because if we get a percentage of increase of memory retention by a scent that we conditionally put in the room, what could happen? And then I think about my personal life and back to having a child that needed to go to school, that was struggling to take all of the knowledge and gifts that were given to him and put them on paper. And I knew he knew the homework, but I couldn't help him. And so we used to use scents in the room. We used to use scents on tissues and pockets and cognition. And we used to do these things to help him articulate how we needed to get there. And they obviously helped. Adrian passed, he went to college, he has a life, he's married. We did a really good job. And part of this process was identifying that I knew it was about the memory, the retention, and the articulation and the cognition of the mind. So I want to talk to you now about taste and smell. And if any of you have that tea, this is one thing we do when we do groups in homes to show people how easy it is. This is not a complicated process. If you make a cup of tea and it's nice and steamy, this is blueberry green tea. The green tea, this comes in, as I said, from Newfoundland. I love supporting Canadian companies. And we smell it and we taste it. And we start a conversation with everybody smelling and tasting. It sets a different tone to any conversation that you're actually having, because believe it or not, there are people, we go through life, especially in North America, where we eat on the go, we eat in our cars, we don't sit actually down and smell the food that we're eating or smell the coffee that we're drinking. And we live in a world where removing smells is good. Stripping every scent down in your home is good. We are kind of the North American society, and we're really the only ones who believe that no scent for some reason is good. And truthfully, it's actually not. And they're starting to show some research that it's actually impacting our emotion and well-being. So just a simple starting point with every conversation of smell the tea. Can you identify it? Now, if we were after work at a sommelier's house with some wine, and I asked you to find the cherry note in the wine, you would all probably be willing to participate. But what I'm asking you to do is if you can find the blueberry note in the tea. Now, it's faint, but it's definitely there. And if you can't, by smelling and tasting, you now open up that palate. Don't add sugar, don't add milk, just allow the aroma and the taste for the purpose of what we're doing. Now, for some of you, you have jelly beans. And for those of you who don't have jelly beans, please just try this at another time. But it's really important because this is something that I would like to show you what 76% of the residents in your homes are experiencing when it comes to their sense of smell and taste. Okay, this is the best way for you to understand their experience. And the way we do this is I'm going to demonstrate it because I look awkward. So I'm going to put 2 jelly beans. You can put 3, you can put 1, you can combine flavors. It's really the sugar that we're really trying to tap into. You put it into your mouth, and then I'm going to plug my nose and my ears so the orifices are closed off. I'm going to chew 2-3 times, and then I'm going to let it go. So if you want to work with me, grab your jelly beans in your mouth, close your nose and your ears, chew, let go. Now there's something that should be happening. When you let go, that rush of flavor comes into your mouth, and it should be sweet sugar. However, when you're doing this, 73% of your residents are experiencing food and smell that way. The good news is you can increase your sense of smell and increase your sense of taste by increasing your sense of smell. The two are hand in hand. If you can taste, you can enhance your sense of smell. So this is a positive thing. I wrote a book on this during COVID. I have worked with many people around the world on how to increase your sense of smell and taste, especially after COVID. And this is why. Smell impacts flavor. So your sense of taste, you have 5 taste buds. Scientists are assuming you have 6, but truthfully, you have 5. When you add smell to your 5 taste buds, now you have flavor. And what flavor is the smell tantalizing your taste buds. So for example, normally you have a fruit category. If you did not really have an increased sense of smell and you put grapefruit, lime, orange, lemon, mandarin all on the same taste, they'd all taste the same. But if you have your increased sense of smell or a normal sense of smell, you could identify each and 5 of those smells. That's basically how scent works. And so by losing your sense of smell, that's what impacted with COVID-19. And that's why your sense of smell. Now, some people have not actually gotten their full sense of smell back after a lot of studies on that. They're looking at various different treatments, cortisones, but I still believe the majority of people haven't really adopted smell therapy. It's physiotherapy for the brain. And what COVID did is it wiped out our ability of those scent memories, the retentions that were pre-existing, and you have to retrain the brain. So I want to do a smell game because this is something that is really part of the whole process, how I got here. When my sister and I were very young, there were very few things I could do with Linda. It was challenging growing up, and her ability of creative play and playing games, it was not in her capacity. But the one thing that is a game our mother used to do in the kitchen called the smell game, where we used to take barbecue sauce and anchovies and peanut butter, and we used to mix them all together. And when we used to mix them all together, then we would smell them blindfold and see if we could figure this out. And we would do this for hours. And it's kind of interesting because that is something that she really resonates to, is smell and taste. Now, in your package, you would receive 2 specific smells, and these are the secret to our success of our program. So first and foremost, these are paper scent sticks that the perfume industry uses, which are blotter papers, where one drop of scent contains the scent within the paper, allows you the opportunity to control the area. This is disposable, it's inexpensive, and it's 100% safe. So that's the first thing. This is not aromatherapy. There is no scent application to the body whatsoever. We do not use diffusers or teach to use diffusers, even though some homes choose to use them. It's their choice. What we do is we teach you one-on-one group therapy using these precious piece of paper, which is, you would think they're just normal paper, but they're blotter papers. And what we have learned as people who do our class and our therapy, they don't want to give this up, and they certainly are not throwing it in the garbage, because the scent stays for sometimes a day or two, and the individual holds on to it. So get your scent sticks out. And the first one I want you to find is bergamot. And bergamot is a citrus scent. And I'm just gonna dip mine. Okay. So bergamot is an essential oil, and I'm going to teach you how to smell. We're working with plant extracts as part of this. The kit that we work with is specifically created where we use essential oils. There are some mixed blends for specific reasons. However, the majority of the raw materials, most people can get up at a drugstore or at a grocery store. Assuming you don't know how to smell, you are going to take the scent stick and you're going to open up your mouth a little bit and smell. Now you should be smelling a variety of different smells. For some of you, you may never have smelled bergamot before. For some of you, you may be going, I know that. This is the #1 ingredient in Earl Grey tea. Bergamot is a citrus, believe it or not. But the research on anxiety is unbelievable. And this is something that is really fascinating. This has a calming sedative impact on the brain, which helps to release serotonin. And that's the goal. We try to calm the brain down. The smell is trying to focus and calm us down. And even though citruses are what we call stimulants, and they're called happy smells that release endorphins, this particular one, bergamot, is something that is unique. It's a flavoring agent. The world uses it in a variety of different flavors. It comes from Italy, and we like to go into all of the reasons why we like to work with bergamot, okay? So the second scent that you would have is a stimulant, and it's rosemary. And if you smelled them and you knew them, that's part of the scent test, because we scale everything on a 1 to 5. This is based on consumer marketing research of a 1 is no scent, a 5 is identifiable, 3 is knows the category. So we have a scaling system that we can actually really determine where you are and how well you smell. And one of the questions that has come out of this entire process for me is understanding and learning that many people still don't have their full sense of smell, because how would you know? And I was with a woman yesterday, actually at church, who can taste, but she fully can't smell. And she is 92 years of age. And I was talking to her son, and I said to her, like, there's some basic things that she can do early morning before mealtime, because she is not really hungry. She's not stimulated. And it is utilizing the sense to focus on and do a form of smell therapy. So there's many people I come across probably on a daily basis, or we're at a coffee shop and I am raving about the notes in the coffee that is coming off the machine. And my friend looks at me and goes, what are you talking about? And I was like, why can't you smell that? Yes, I have a heightened sense of smell because it's trained, but most people should be able to smell that. No. And then she drinks her coffee and I'll say to her, well, describe the coffee to me. and she's describing what she knows it to taste like, but she doesn't really can smell it. So these are things where it's really important, because when you lose your sense of smell, you are increased to depression by a whopping 86%. So this is the correlation. And truthfully, this was the aha moment when I had to shut down everything. I lost my store. I lost the installation at the hospital, at the airport. I lost 95% of my hotels. This is one of the reasons why during COVID, I pivoted and I really began to focus on this industry, is because my industry had a conversation knowing if you lose your sense of smell and the depression rate goes up, what's the world going to look like? And we're starting to see that. And so what I'm here to do is try to show you why scent is such a powerful tool. Now, rosemary particularly has the most profound research that we see. Rosemary is used in Parkinson's and it's used in Alzheimer's right now because it stimulates areas of the brain that are thought to be damaged, and they're not. And I have an individual actually who hadn't smelled anything, pre-diagnosed to Parkinson's for 8 years. During smell therapy, rosemary and similar types of smells, he could smell them and he lit up like a Christmas tree, which then had a profound impact because he could smell. And that changed his treatment program. It changed how he engaged in certain things, because now they knew the communication of scent and what scents to work with. So it was very, very helpful. So how do we do this? This is the big part of the question, and it's quite simple. We are research driven. Everything we focus on is published medical study. Unfortunately, we do not have that establishment here in Canada, and that is something I'm working on. Right now, we work with European studies and we work with studies around the world, focusing on what scents are being used. All these raw materials come from different parts of the world too, and that's the other reason for it. There's very few that actually come from Canada. However, we do focus on a section of scents that are Canadian, that are really helpful for the Indigenous communities in particular, because this is part of their meditation and prayer component. And we work with certain scents that we know are part of this process. And so we have a few Canadian oils or Canadian scents that we do focus on. And it is something that we can adapt specifically if there's an Indigenous community or further north that want to use this as part of their programming. It is a web-based training program that we do. It is implemented from 4 to 6 months. We work with partnerships. I try to personally go to every location and meet teams, do one-on-ones. This is either done in a group setting through recreation, or it can also be done on one-on-one, and we are creating impact. It is 100% funded by the Ontario government through the Resident Health and Wellbeing Program. And if you don't use the funding this year, you don't qualify it for next year. So it's something that I really like to bring forward, because there's a lot of homes that don't even know this funding exists. And every customer that we have worked with, they have received 100% funding in Ontario, as well as we have just come up with a list of all the equivalent funding for all the territories and provinces in the country. So every province seems to have this. Currently, right now, we've expanded into 500 long-term care beds. We're focused right now in Southern Ontario. However, we are about to transition because we're working with various different companies out west. Generally, we work with PSWs, SSWs, AHAP, but medical staffs, the variety of different teams. We work with recreational therapists. We work with the support teams within the communities, and we help. The Canadian essential oil industry is approximately $1 billion, and that's consumers. And the reason why I also, when I started the program, saw there was a distribution issue, I really wanted to focus on, most people know about essential oils. There's also a drug opioid crisis that is specifically predominant in Western Canada. Yes, it's here, but in the West, specifically Alberta, it's quite strong. And what we're learning is in the West, introducing an essential oil scent therapy plant-based is 100% received by families because they're just afraid of another medication. These are some of the partners that we are working with in our programming. We did a fantastic case study with Banmo Garden, and it was appetite stimulation. She specifically was tracking an individual, and the study is inconclusive. It was just a snapshot. She did a few months, refused to eat. So Heather did 30 minutes conducted prior to a meal time. She did 15 minutes because what scent does is physiologically, it changes your body. It changes your brain implements the digestive juices that causes the brain to say it's time to eat. Many times in long-term care homes, the food is prepped in other areas, different floors. And so the food is brought in. I am a volunteer with Meals on Wheels, and I know I deliver food, but the preparation of that food, sometimes you show up and they're not hungry. So doing scent therapy prior to the actual time of meal, so at 10:30 or 11:30 or whatever you're going to serve, helps the individual get prepared. What Heather started to see was an increase of 76%, and she only had one refusal. One of the things is she had 100% engagement. Now, she ran into some issues with the husband who was participating with this program. He was finding it a little frustrating to get there before and then the meal time. And so she's working out some different ways of handling this. And sometimes it's a positive interaction and sometimes it's not, as you all know. But what smell therapy does is it helps to create an opportunity for the families to do something different and to participate in the healthcare. And it's something very simple of 15, 20 minutes, doing a scent game, a specific type of program. However this is, it actually is something that can easily be integrated. So these are some of the success results that we're starting to see. And so we do intakes. And so we work with a Google Doc right now. So it's a basic document. There's no privacy issues because we're not tracking patients. We're actually tracking scents. We've approached this in a very different way. So we're not really working on the privacy component. What we're doing is we're looking at how these smells interact, building the data. So right now, these are the 5 top scents that are being used: lavender, peppermint, tangerine, eucalyptus, and lemon. I'm going to challenge this with the customers that I'm working with a new program coming out. We're entering into a reprogram, a retraining to really focus in on where the new research is coming because it's moving in a very rapid rate. These are very comfortable, common sense. Yes, they're powerful, but there's other ones that are I know have much more impact on the brain. The common issues that are being addressed are loneliness, anxiety, depression, sadness, diet suppression. The reported changes we're starting to see are relaxed, energized, positive, 31% no change. This happens sometimes with intakes where there is no change, and then you go back and there is a change. The thing that is most interesting is the engagement piece to me. The majority of the people are willing to repeat the program, try different scents, engage. We really never had an individual, from what I'm hearing, where you sit down with them and say, we're going to do scent therapy, and they say, no, thank you. Even the experience where they're sitting around smelling, seeing their colleagues or their people, and people's expressions, face, oh, this is lovely. I want to try. And if you think about kids, it becomes contagious in some ways. So this is an exciting opportunity because this livens up things that maybe you didn't have success with in the past. Scent-free policies. Deal with this all the time. I've been dealing with this for 35 years. And so scent is used in healthcare settings across Canada and Europe. I'm working with the Region of Peel. I work with many home facilities. Baycrest, for example, had a very strict scent policy. We readapted it to a scent-friendly policy, updated it. A lot of policies are outdated. This is not perfume. This is not aromatherapy. We are really focused on the research and the science and the impact of cognition. It's the types of smells, first of all, it's what's added to the scent, second of all, and it's crucial to move away from these policies and update them. So I have a class actually coming up on that for people who want to understand that. But I also have a copy of the scent friendly policy that if anybody wants, I'm more than willing to share that with you. So where are we going? Well, right now we're focused on the butterfly unit of implementation of emotional connection with scent. I'm really excited to be one of the keynotes at the Alzheimer's Societies this fall, talking about how scent works. We are a web-based platform, and that is something that we're trying to track the results, because we will be eventually adding an app that will be deciphering all this. Right now, I'm doing all the deciphering and pulling out the pieces. So we're working on tech. Currently, it's data, and the data is coming from clients like Responsive Care Management and their teams. This is Banswell that they won. We do these great contests where we work with the group. We talk about how they implement scent. They're progressive. Responsive is really progressive. And so they're using music therapies with smell therapies for specifics, focusing on sleep this time. And then all it is it's a small survey form that we fill. It shows and tracks it. And then the participations get who gets what. We send them essential oils, or in this case, a diffuser. So something very simple, but it's the engagement piece. It's also very helpful because we're seeing some of the employees excited about something so simple that revitalizes their work and gives them hope and excitement on something different. We are working with the Family Council of Ontario. Hopefully within the next few weeks, we'll be having a webinar because we are going to be working with them on a support system program. We, as I said, we're doing an in-person program with the Alzheimer's Society of Peel. You are all welcome. This is a Dementia Care Day on September 24th. This will be located in Mississauga. I am one of the keynotes. And we're also doing our next webinar at the end of the month on how to update, and excuse me for the phone ringing, it stopped, how to update your scent policies. What does that look like? These are our scent kits. They're new. This is how we send out our scent kits. They come with 20 different oils. Inside you get the packs of sticks, and this comes with every program. There's lots of information on LinkedIn. Please reach out to me. But there's also a group called the Olfactive Group, which is on LinkedIn. And as I said, there are thousands of scent research reports. Now, I usually post on LinkedIn quite frequently. So if you follow our Smelling Pink page, you'll start to see more and more research. Obviously, we have a TED Talk. And this is, I'm trying to be very cautious of the last 15 minutes to ensure that everybody has an opportunity, if they wanted to ask questions. So I'm going to stop sharing so we can see the messages. I will get the scent policy out to you. There's a question. I'm fabulous. Thank you, Deborah. I really appreciate that. It's been a tough last week. Is funding only for long-term care? How can we apply for funding? I will send you the particular, I'm going to write this down. I'm going to send you the particular information about the funding. I work with the Ontario government right now. And then I do believe there's a brand new funding that has been available right now for training, and this would qualify. So if you are a part of long-term care, and I know it's immediately covered, however, we did look at private care for like in-home, for example, and it does not transfer over. But the Ontario government has just launched a brand new training program specifically to increase the skill sets, and this program works. Yes, for retirement homes, the training works. And I know I have an individual that I can talk to, an MPP in particular, to get the name, but that funding is open. And because the training is $5,400, it's a one-shot deal. You can have as many people as you want on the program. I don't monitor your staff. We tape it, so then you have a bank of it, and then you have a license to utilize the training at any given time, and then we implement the program. So it's not something that is just a one-off. We give you the kit and we provide you enough material for 20 beds to start with. And Sandy, I know she's on my class, she's here somewhere. When we sat down, everybody knew of a few people they were immediately going to try this with. Deborah has to leave. Thank you. I will make sure I send you that information. And let me go back and let's go with the questions. So first and foremost, corgis smell everything, especially food. Thank you, Sandy. A copy of the scent-free policy. Yes, I will get that to Lisa. I will send out probably a blanket email where everyone can have that information. Sandy is saying that she loves the program. Thank you very much. Early adopters. For retirement homes, definitely this is an opportunity because there's a lot of recreation. And what we do with the program is we take your current recreation and we show you how to integrate scent within your recreation to increase the engagement piece. I would like information on funding. We will send that. People have to leave. I understand. Thank you for an informative session. Send us a copy. Yes, I will. We have, oh, Sandy said we had no shortage of residents who wanted to be a part of the program. So that is true. Thank you. And that is the feedback that we're getting. Does anybody want to put their hand up or have a conversation or ask me a question without going in the chats? I'm available. Please let me know. I want to thank you for your time. I know time is an essence. I will I will send you the recorded tape so you can share this with your teams. I will follow up with an email to ensure that you have the policies, the funding requirements, and so you can see how you can easily adapt this. And if there's anything I can do, I am more than willing to help you. Thank you very much to everyone. I see many people who are leaving the call. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I really appreciate everything. Have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye. Judy Waters. Where's Judy? Judy left. Anybody else? Anybody want a question or two? No? All good? Oh, how do you deal with residents that have scent allergies? Great question. We go through that with the scent policy. Generally with scent allergies, and there's a huge difference. An allergic test to scent, generally 99.9% has never been done. Because a scent allergy is something that is done on their skin, and it's usually done by an endocrinologist. Most people pre-diagnosed allergies, so we talk a lot about that because there is a huge difference between an allergy and a sensitivity. So I can send you some information, but that information will be directly answered in our next webinar on the 29th, Adrian. Okay. Any other questions? Can you repeat, Heather, who completed the research? Oh, sure. There's lots of research. I will, the research, Melissa, that you're referencing, is there a specific study that you were looking for? Because there's so much research we work with, like literally thousands of papers that we deal this with. I'll send you some direction. Oh, Heather, meaning Banswell Gardens. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, the intake form. I can send you, yeah, I have some information on that. I have some stats on that information. She's still working on that because it was part of an intake, but I can do that for sure. Yep. The rest, I'm just making notes. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate your time and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye, everyone.